Ladies and gentlemen, we are live!
Welcome everyone to BX Sports Jedi MMA Weekly with Austin and Stefan. I am Austin, my coach Stefan. How you doing tonight, Stefan?
I am doing. I'm doing all right, but this was an interesting weekend of MMA combat. Very, very interesting. I don't know. It makes me feel weird just even discussing it, but. We're going to get into the weeds. We got to talk about it. Austin, how are you?
Doing all right. I mean, you are correct. This was a very interesting, unique MMA event, MMA weekend. Like I said, unique and interesting. The MMA weekend with both, especially with the UFC and also Bellator as well. But I'm doing all right. And let's say happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. I know by the time you're seeing this, it'll be past Mother's Day, but still happy Mother's Day to all the moms. To Dan's mom, obviously, and my mom, and all the moms who are watching us, and everyone's mom, of course, that watches us or listens to us as well.
You are the reason we are here. So thank you guys so much, and happy Mother's Day to all mothers.
Yep, definitely. And let's get started with what happened last weekend. We'll start with the Bellator 280 in Paris, France. As the main event was Ryan Bader versus Cheick Kongo. As Ryan Bader defeats Cheick Kongo via unanimous decision, 50-45, all three judges scorecards. And the story of this fight is Ryan Bader's wrestling was too much for Cheick Kongo. Kongo couldn't really do anything to stop the takedown, or even get him off, or even get Bader off him. And because of that, Ryan Bader just controlled the fights, and he basically was just able to control him and dominate him for all the fight. And this wasn't exactly the most entertaining fight, I'm not gonna lie. It really wasn't. Especially compared to the rest of the card. But definitely compared to the rest of the card, definitely was the sleeper of the night, unfortunately. Especially in the Crown France. And obviously the French guy losing the title doesn't help at all. Cheick Kongo fighting his home country of France, losing the championship fight. Yeah, it's not exactly a great way to end the night for the Crown France. Especially since this is the second time Bellator's been there, but I think it's the first time with a full arena that fans were there to witness it. So, it wasn't the greatest fight, but Ryan Bader was able to use his wrestling and control him and just did enough to prevent Cheick Kongo from really hurting him at all. And that's basically the story of the fight. What are your thoughts on this fight, Dan?
I agree with you 100%. For me, watching this fight, it came down to the forward pressure. That was really it. You knew Ryan Bader was going to provide forward pressure. What was Cheick Kongo going to do to try and negate that? Because at the end of the day, you have to share. Well, this is the infamous quote from DC. You have to share the octagon with the opponent. And so when you do something like that, that means you have to control your own space, be a master of a space. And he did nothing to negate that forward pressure. So Ryan Bader was able to do whatever he wanted. And Cheick Kongo, for all I said about those knees that he's quite famous for using, he really didn't present them until really the 4th or 5th round, where it was kind of too late. And his coaches were telling him he was losing every single round because it was known he lost every single round. Ryan Bader just kept providing forward pressure, and with that forward pressure, he had control of the octagon, and he provided offense and did whatever he wanted, and Cheick Kongo couldn't negate that. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. It wasn't an entertaining fight because Ryan Bader really, I don't think he was looking to damage Cheick Kongo too much. I think as long as he knew he could provide that forward pressure and have that control of the fight roughly around the 2nd to 3rd round, he decided, you know what, I'm just controlling this guy. I'm going to damage him when I want. Full control of this fight.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% there. Ryan Bader wasn't looking to damage him. He's just controlling him. Knowing that he can control him and just do enough to keep control of him, and just do, as long as he can do that, he can just basically coast through a victory without taking real damage at all. I mean, you're absolutely right. He wasn't looking to really hurt Kongo at all in that fight.
Yeah, and so Ryan Bader moves on as a champion, and we have to find out who his next opponent is in the Bellator.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We'll see who's next from the heavyweight division, but we'll find out in the next several months. But we can move on to the co-main event, which was in the light heavyweight division, featuring Yoel Soldier Guy Romero versus Alex Polizzi. And Yoel Romero wins the fight via TKO in the 3rd round, 4 minutes and 59 seconds in the 3rd round. So basically 1 more second left. It was confusing at first because, when Polizzi was getting up from after getting knocked down, Romero hit him with a right hook that really stazed and wobbled him, put the bell at rank. But Mike Beltran, the ref of the fight, saw that Polizzi was out of his feet and just waved it off and stopped the fight, which I understand where Beltran is coming from, because if you watch, he was out on his feet, and Polizzi took a lot of damage in this fight. I mean, a lot. I mean, the left hand from Yoel Romero was finding his mark on Polizzi all day long, the entire fight. In the 1st round was competitive. It actually was, because Polizzi went for several takedowns, but didn't work because Romero stopped him. Let's not forget, Romero is a silver medalist at the Olympics in wrestling back in 2000. I mean, the fact that Romero's 45 still fighting is pretty impressive. The fact that he's 45 and winning fights against a guy in Polizzi was 10-1, a guy who the 1st round was trying to, was doing all right, touching him, but Romero was also touching him as well and had more power. I mean, like I said, that left hand kept landing on Alex Polizzi, and the 2nd round was the same. He kept landing it, rocking Polizzi, but Polizzi just kept going. He showed his toughness. Polizzi's one tough dude. He just kept getting touched, but yeah, kept getting hit hard, but kept going. Got dropped several times, but got up. Even that 3rd round when Polizzi's face was bleeding, all getting beat up, he landed 1-2 on Romero and was still trying to win the fight, but Romero's power is just too much. The only thing about Yoel Romero that anyone who's seen him fight knows is that he's got power in his hands, both hands. He's dynamite. And if he lands something, we can knock you out. We've seen him do it to plenty of guys and stumble guys with his punches. I mean, guy's a freaking, he's such an anomaly, Yoel Romero. I mean, this guy is 45, winning fights. He just won against a guy 10-1, a guy who's 15 years younger than him, who's in his athletic prime, and messed him up badly. I mean, it's just, wow. I mean, I'm a big Romero guy. I love Yoel Romero. And to see him win like that is awesome, considering his last fight in 205 was not his best performance. Against Phil Davis. I mean, Phil Davis is good, but Romero could have done better, though. Phil Davis is pretty good. And the crowd really loved Romero in France. They were chanting Romero, the crowd. I mean, Romero, it's like Romero's put his hand up, I got you guys. And then he would throw a left that hurt Polizzi. I thought that part was kind of cool. I mean, what are your thoughts on this fight, Chef Dan?
Yeah, like you said, Alex Polizzi was a tough dude. He, man, he's really tough. But at the same note, this is something where you're gonna watch the tape because you're in there with a veteran like Yoel Romero, and he presented every challenge that Polizzi couldn't answer that night. And this is something he's gonna learn, especially as a wrestler, because he kind of gave up after one shot. Just kind of gave up after one shot. Really didn't try and reshoot and try and dedicate to the shoot if he was gonna wrestle his way with Yoel Romero. And then in the stand-up game, Yoel Romero just kept getting more and more comfortable as the rounds progressed, to a point where he was just like, he was doing the 52,
Yeah.
he was doing the 52, man. That's what he was.
Yeah, but he does the
52, just
52.
letting them. Yeah,
His high
that's
guard
what.
defense.
Yep, and he was just having fun. And I think it was the second round where he knocked down Polizzi, and
Yes.
they wanted him to finish. The crowd wanted him to go in for the finish, and he was telling them, just hold on, like you said, just hold on. I got you. I got something special for you. And I'm watching, I'm waiting, and I'm thinking, maybe he should have actually, put the gas pedal on. But just at the last second, he hits a buzzer beater and is able to finish Polizzi. And at that moment, really, at the last couple of seconds, watching Polizzi take that much damage on the ground, I know he kind of rolled himself out of it. But once the referee waved his hands and I saw what was going on, I was like, okay, the referee kind of got in there late a little. They're gonna give him the last second finish. But all in all, he did finish Alex Polizzi. He was out right there. He was out on his feet, and Yoel Romero continues to just be astounding at the age that he is, finishing opponents at the way he does. It was just really amazing and a very, very entertaining fight.
It was. It's great to see Yoel Romero back. That's the Yoel Romero that everyone loves. The guy that does that. I mean, Yoel sometimes he can be, inactive, but then he goes out there and just throws something. And we saw Romero, who was, more patient. He was patient, but not to the point where it hurt him, like in the Israel fight when he fought Israel Adesanya, where he was, too cautious and didn't really do anything. And he just, we know how good Romero is. This guy has dynamite in both hands, great wrestler, and he just fights age. I mean, the guy's 45, being 30-year-old guy. I mean, unless somehow the Cubans lie about his age, because the whole like urban legend about Cubans lying about people's ages and stuff, which I don't think they did. I don't think so, but. The guy's 45 and looks like that, does things. It's just, how can you, if you're in your mid 40s?
Wait. So you think he might be younger or older?
Nah, potentially younger. I don't think he's older.
Okay.
Maybe. It's that I'm not trying to say it's the case, but there's that urban legend about Cubans lying about.
It's funny. It's funny. That's why it's just. I'm not even. It's just funny. I'm sorry. It's just funny.
It is, because remember, he competed in the Olympics for Cuba, and Cubans sometimes they're known to lie about their athlete's age. Sometimes
athletes lie. Athletes lie about their height. They lie about their weight. They lie about their hand size. They lie about all their measurables. So, who's to say? There was even a case that a basketball player, I believe, his name was Thon Maker. There was a rumor out there that maybe he lied about his age and he was older than he was projected to be and things of that nature.
Even if he is 45 or in his 40s, let's say, still, the fact he's in his 40s and doing what he does, being athletic he is, and being guys younger than him, it's just how can you not be in awe of him? I'm in awe of Romero, especially his story too. Yoel Romero is like, I like Yoel Romero. I'm a big fan of Soldier of God, and we know his next opponent's gonna be Melvin Manhoef, another guy in his 40s. The guy's been around, had more fights than Romero, fought earlier than Romero did in MMA, but a guy who's a great stand-up, great kickboxer, He was done well in MMA, man hoof, and it was supposed to happen this card, but Melvin, famous, got injured his hand because he was stopping burglars. He beat up 3 burglars who were trying to came his house, and he punched the window of a car and got his hand injured. So that postponed the fight. So he couldn't find his card. But him and Romero will be fighting September in Dublin, Ireland. So that's the next opponent for Yoel Romero. We know what's going next for him. And thankfully, Melvin's recovered, and he caught some burglars trying to, mess with it, trying to steal things from him.
Most definitely. Not only that, but we know that's a crowd that is going to appreciate Yoel Romero. So I'm definitely going to be tuned in for that fight. From there, we can move on to the next fight that happened on the card. This was also a very good fight to me. Davy Gaillon versus Benjamin Brander. Davy Gaillon wins this fight in the second round via ground and pound from the crucifix. And this ground and pound from the crucifix is not controversial because Benjamin Brander took a lot of damage from Davy Gaillon. Davy Gaillon, he was just outclassing Benjamin Brander a lot throughout this fight. And it got to the second round, he stumbled him, got him on the ground, and when he was able to get him into the crucifix position, he got him there, and he was just vicious elbows and fists and just. Go ahead, Austin. It was a very, very good fight.
It was a very good fight. You're right. Once in the second round, he was able to get top position. Benjamin Brander, it was the beginning of the end for Brander. Davy Gaillon just basically was able, once he got a crucifix, which for most fighters, you get your opponent crucifix, you're probably the most dominant position you can get in terms of the grappling aspect MMA. That I think, unless it's something else I don't know about, but crucifix.
I'm not gonna lie. Now that you say it like that, like there's the only other. All right, that's one dire position. The only other dire position, because it is a submission, is the heel hook.
Oh yeah, yes. Dire, yes. But I was talking about dominant, but yeah, that's definitely dire position. The heel hook. Oh, my ankles, my Achilles hurt just thinking about that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like once they've got it, like once they've really secured it. Once I hear a commentator like Big John McCarthy saying, "Is it past the knee?" Yup, he's got it cinched in, arms around it. Yup, you should tap. Once I hear all the check marks, it's like, because you can feel it as a fighter. Don't fight that. Please don't fight that. Just tap instantly and live to fight another day, because the guy's got you there and you can always work on the position. But you're absolutely right. That and a crucifix position, those are the most dangerous and dire positions that I see a fighter. Once they get themselves into that, it's kind of like good night, Irene.
Definitely agree with you there, and that's what Gaillon did with Benjamin Brander. He just got into the position, just punched him, punch elbows, and a lot. He did a lot of them, and the stoppage was not controversial because he definitely gave Brander all the chance again to get out of it, which I know it's hard to do, but I've seen some fighters get out of that position. Tough to do, but it's possible. But Gaillon just had him and just go ahead.
It is most definitely possible. You could always like the method most famously seen is the bridge and kick over, so that you can kind of topple over their weight and you could end up on top. But it's not even to say it is a hopeless thing, because there's a way to get out of it. But as game as Davy Gaillon was, man, I don't know if that was gonna work for him. Because Davy had one step on him every night.
You mean Benjamin Brander?
But Davy had one step on Benjamin the entire night. Yeah.
Yes, he did. And Gaillon was able to just punch his elbows, and a good amount, at least half of them landed. And it went on for a while to the point the ref has stopped it. And Davy Gaillon gets a big victory in his home country of France, considering he is French himself. So it was him and Romero were two guys that got the most love from the crowd in terms of the crowd reaction. Oh, and Cheick Kongo too. Cheick Kongo as well. But yeah, it was those three guys who got the biggest reaction from the crowd. And, you know, two French guys and one guy, and Romero, who most MMA fans just love. Doesn't matter if you're French, Cuban, American, you know, whatever. People that love Romero. But yeah, it's
Most
good
definitely.
victory for Gaillon in his home country of France.
And then we can move on to the next fight on that main card. Lorenz Larkin versus Kyle Stewart. Lorenz Larkin wins this fight in the first round from elbow to ground strikes. Like, Austin, you got to tell me what you saw from this fight.
I saw a fight where Stewart early on was doing all right, but Larkin was putting pressure on him. Was clearly the guy with who was clearly the better fighter, more experience, and once they got to the cage, Larkin really like went threw more combinations at Stewart where I know that he dropped him with a right elbow. It was a right elbow that dropped Stewart, but I feel like he hit something else before the right elbow. Maybe a body shot from left. I don't recall, but I know once the right elbow landed, Stewart was down, and then Larkin started picking him apart and just ground and pounding him. And he even threw knees to Stewart's body when Stewart was like on his knees, trying to get up. He threw, Larkin himself threw knees to the body, which was very smart to try to open up some offense on Stewart. But Stewart tried to get up, but Stewart really couldn't do anything. And Larkin just kept ground pounding him. Yep, just like that. That's the image right there. Stewart tried getting up, he couldn't, and then Larkin just kept picking him apart, throwing shots, to his gut, into his face, and to the ref. The ref had stopped it, and it was a great victory for Lance Larkin, another stoppage victory. Considering his career, considering his recent run, he had gotten decision victory, so he finally gets a stoppage victory. His 13th one, I believe, 13th by KO and TKO, if I'm mistaken. But good performance for Lance Larkin, guy, like I say, who was in Strikeforce, did well there, did well in UFC. It's gone to Bellator, had a good success, had a little hiccup in the middle, but recently he's won, I believe, 4 in a row. So good victory for Larkin. He's trying to climb up the middleweight rankings, which I think he will. And I like to see what he does next.
All right. And then last fight that we're just going to mention, neither I nor Austin were able to view this fight, was Gregory Babine versus Mike Shipman. Gregory Babine wins this fight via TKO in the first round. So congratulations to Gregory Babine and all the successful fighters from this card and in the preliminaries too, which you can watch for free on YouTube, which I have a feeling I'm going to mention that again a little bit later on in the program. From there, we can move on from the Bellator to the next night, UFC Saturday night, UFC 274, Oliveira versus Gaethje, accompanied by Namajunas versus Esparza 2. This was a
up and down roller coaster card.
Roller coaster card. I mean,
stock market, the ups and downs of the stock market. I mean, basically.
Let's get right into it. Let's you know what? Let's I think the more we talk about it, the more you're going to see, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about as far as like what we feel about this card. But we can start off with the fight that capped off the night. Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje. The title was vacated due to some controversy with the scale, with something about Oliveira missing weight or the scale not calibrated correctly, things of that nature. But they are saying that Oliveira did not make weight. And they gave, at the weigh-in, they do give you an additional hour to shed the poundage. They said he was off by half a pound, and he still couldn't shed it there. So if Oliveira won, the title ended up being vacant, and that is most definitely what happened within the first round. Charles Oliveira wins this fight in the first round via rear naked choke there, as you see it, securing it over Justin Gaethje. And it was a hell of a first round. Both of those guys rocked each other like twice in the first round. It started off with Oliveira You know how he is with the striking. He gets in close, is able to clinch and do some things with his striking and able to throw in some knees. But he caught Justin Gaethje there, but then Justin Gaethje was able to throw something back and knock down Charles Oliveira. But Gaethje was smart enough to say, you know what, when Charles Oliveira was down and wanted to engage in the ground, he said, I'm not going to do that. And then Oliveira had to get back up. From there, he rocked Gaethje again. Gaethje was trying to throw some leg kicks to kind of, before he got rocked, he was trying to throw some leg kicks to try and soften things up and mix up the striking. But Charles was checking some of those leg kicks. He was checking a lot of the leg kicks. So he was game on the tape for Justin Gaethje. He rocked Justin Gaethje there. Gaethje was wobbly a little, was able to go in the clinch, deliver some knees, but then Gaethje was fighting through the clinch, things of that nature. Got out of the clinch. He rocked Charles again. Charles fell down to the ground. Charles tried to engage him from the ground, but Gaethje didn't go for it. Charles had to get up once again. Charles rocked him, got him in the clinch, and then just tossed him over. It was like a left hand grab, and then with the inside trip, just tossed him over and got him on the ground, and then immediately took the back of Justin Gaethje. From there, it was just lights out. What was it? I believe he had Justin Gaethje's leg wrapped up.
Yeah, his torso, like over his legs, over his torso.
Yeah, like he had his leg wrapped up over the trying to go. I think he was going for a heel hook at first, but didn't get that. And then as Gaethje was fighting up off the heel hook, he locked in his knee, the lower part of his leg, just his calf right there, on the knee of Gaethje, brought him down, and then took his back. Was trying to get the rear naked. Gaethje's trying to fight that off. Couldn't really get that. And then after that, he just secured the rear naked. Gaethje tried fighting the hands, couldn't happen. Really cinched it in, and Gaethje had to tap. Charles Oliveira, man, it's just he kept saying that there is a lightweight champion, and his name is Charles Oliveira, and he's proven right now he's light years ahead of the division right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. He's proven it. He's proven this fight. I mean, this fight it lasted one round, but it was an entertaining fight. It was really entertaining. I mean, early on, I mean, the crowd, obviously being in Arizona, the crowd was pro Gaethje because Gaethje's from Arizona, and also he happened to be half Mexican too, which he came out of Mexican mariachi music and Weekend Cinco de Mayo, and obviously Arizona, a lot of Mexicans in Arizona as well. So the crowd was obviously pro Gaethje. The crowd atmosphere was great.
I believe Gaethje's of Mexican descent as well because his grandparents are Mexican. Yeah,
that's what I was saying. Gaethje's Mexican from, I think, at least his mom's side. Well, I think both sides of his family. I know for his mom's side for sure. But yeah, his grandparents came from Mexico, I think, to the United States. But yeah, Gaethje had a great performance early on. Early on, he was good. Like, he dropped Charles twice. He dropped Charles. Charles was inviting him for the initiate the grappling, which most guys do not want to do because Oliveira's got more submissions than anyone in UFC history. At that point, he had 20 submission victories. So why would you engage with someone who might be the best submission jiu-jitsu guy in lightweight history and in UFC history? There's a debate to him, Maya, but that's another debate. We talk about it a little bit later or another time. But so Gaethje didn't want to engage, and Oliveira would get up, and Oliveira got knocked down. He wasn't exactly wobbly, took super. I mean, Oliveira's tough, man. He's just tough. I mean, that guy, he can take damage and come back. It's crazy. Chandler took damage, came back. Within a minute later, he knocked Chandler out. Poirier dropped him once or twice, but yeah, so he did a Poirier in the second and third round. I mean, and here Gaethje drops him twice. Oliveira gets nothing, and one thing Oliveira did that was really smart. He basically took away the leg kicks from Justin Gaethje, because we know Gaethje, one of his greatest weapons, it's not his greatest weapon, it's his leg kicks. I mean, he has some of the best leg kicks of all MMA. And Oliveira, since he fights a Muay Thai stance, I think Muay Thai is one of the first martial arts he did. he basically lifted up his knee like Muay Thai fighters does, and to the point where Gaethje's leg kicks weren't connecting, and it took away one of Gaethje's biggest weapons, is the leg kicks, which I think when it caused Gaethje to panic a little bit and he started swinging wildly. I mean, there's a point where Gaethje swung and fell down in that fight.
Kept loading up too much. Yep.
Yes, you're right. I'm about to say he kept loading up too much, and then Oliveira was able to catch it and drop Gaethje, and Gaethje from like 2 minutes ago in the first round, I believe. I don't remember, and I know it's past the halfway point. That's all I know for sure. And then basically he was basically once he got the grappling exchanges, you knew Gaethje was in trouble, because that was the one thing I think one weakness about Gaethje is his grappling defense. And you know, even though he's a great wrestler, he can defend takedowns, but once you get him down and keep him, you know, he has a hard time getting up sometimes. And against Oliveira, that was just the beginning of the end for him. You mentioned, you know, Oliveira went for a heel hook. Well, was it heel hook you said, or a knee bar?
It was either a heel hook or a knee. No, it had to have been a heel hook, because Gaethje immediately addressed it. It had to have been a heel hook, because he was past the knee.
Yes,
that's the only way he could have dropped the leg on Gaethje's knee. He had to have been past the knee in order for Gaethje to have addressed it as quickly as he did, and drop him down to get him at least past his knee. So that it was a heel hook.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. It was a heel hook, and then you know he just kept attacking, and then he was able to get the rear naked choke, and then he could try fighting it, but Charles made an adjustment, and Charles is just, when it comes to submissions, Oliveira, like I said, has more submissions than anyone. Might be the best submission artist in UFC history. Arguably he has a case for it, and Gaethje was in trouble. He was gonna tap out or get choked out, and he tapped out. And an impressive victory for Oliveira, where he showed why he's clearly head and shoulders above most guys in the lightweight division. I mean, Chandler actually the Chandler fight was competitive. Chandler almost finished him. I do want to take that back. You know,
that's the thing. The only guy that has an argument to say like they had the chance to finish Oliveira, it was just that Oliveira survived and got out the round, is Michael Chandler. He was he gave the most competitive fight.
Yes, because ever since he's been on his win streak, particularly when he fought Kevin Lee in March of 2020 onward, he's just been dominant against guys. I mean, I think he's on I think 8 of his last 9 fights are all been finishes. The only guy that he didn't finish was Tony Ferguson. Obviously, I mean, shows how tough Tony is. We'll talk about him later, obviously. But yeah. I mean, he dominated Kevin Lee, dominated Tony Ferguson. Chandler, we know what happened there. Just after the first round with Poirier, even though Oliveira did have success in that first round with knees to the gut, but the first round was somewhat competitive, and then second, third round, he just dominated Poirier and just dominated Gaethje. I mean, these recent fights, he's showing he's head above most guys in his lightweight division. I mean, he is clearly the best lightweight in the world, and it's crazy considering, you know, Habib retiring, you thought it would cast a shadow along that division, like who's going to take charge and be the guy in that division. And Oliveira's done it. He's been the dominant force in that division, especially with retirement of Habib. And that was next for Charles, is basically the other dominant force in this division, Islam Makhachev. The invisible force meets the immovable object. I think I said the right phrase correctly. Did I? Or am I? You guys know what I mean, though. You know, 11-5 winning streak for Oliveira, 10-5 winning streak for Islam Makhachev. And it seems like that's the next fight to make. It seems like that's what it's going to be, and it makes sense. Both guys are on incredible win streaks. The 2 most dominant fighters in this division, and I look forward to that fight. I think everyone wants to see the wrestling of Islam against the grappling of Charles. Look like good striking. I mean, that can get you excited, and I don't know what can get you excited. Islam and Charles fighting chair doesn't pump you up.
That's the only fight to make for the vacant title right now. We know that Oliveira has to be in the picture because he is head and shoulders above the rest, and the only thing that has defeated him from the title was the scale that has a controversy. Above that, other than that, there's been no one else that can, say, well, the only guy that really has a case is Michael Chandler, but then he's coming off of, granted, we're going to talk about him later as well, but he's also coming off of 2 losses, so he's got a fight to present his case. The only guy that's coming off of a couple victories that's sitting pretty in the top 5 is just waiting and hasn't had his shot yet is Islam Makhachev at number 3.
Yeah, exactly.
And Charles wants the title as quick as possible. He wants to get that business done. There's no reason why we shouldn't get that fight done by the end of this year, man.
I agree, and I think it's gonna happen in October in Abu Dhabi, because Islam said, "Hey, I'm fighting Abu Dhabi. Let's fight there." After Charles won his fight against Justin Gaethje, and I think that makes sense. That's 5 months from now. Okay, give Oliveira a little bit of time to recover and and things like that, and then he can go. Then he can still fight this year as well. And it gives Islam enough time to prepare. You got a big main event for the Abu Dhabi card in October, and that'd be great. I mean, can't wait for that fight. That fight's definitely, like I said, you can't get excited for that fight. I don't know what gets you excited in MMA. I don't know, because that's 11-fight win streak, 10-fight win streak. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with you 100%, and I just want to add on to that. Like, the division is so good, it doesn't deserve a vacant title. Let's get this over with. Let's get that fight booked.
Yep, exactly. Let's get it booked. I mean, what a great performance from Oliveira. I mean, I don't think he got performance. Oh yeah, he missed weight, so he didn't get performance bonus, which, I mean, puts 0.5 of controversy. But at least he gets pay-per-view points, which is a good thing for Oliveira. So the pay-per-view did well. He's gonna get some good money back. So he lost from the whole situation with the scale. So I mean, either way, good for Oliveira. And Justin Gaethje, I mean, what's next for Gaethje? I mean, I think for him, I wouldn't mind seeing a rematch with Dustin Poirier. It's been 4 years since they last fought. I think both guys come up with the loss of Charles Oliveira for the championship. Because Gaethje could have won the title if he beat Oliveira, he would have been champion. Both guys come up championship losses to Oliveira. They're both still top 5 lightweights. They had a great fight in 2018. That was a candidate for fight a year 4 years ago, which I can't believe it's been 4 years since they fought. That's crazy. But yeah, I think it's a perfect rematch for both guys, Poirier and Gaethje.
Oh yeah, and that's the perfect fight right now, especially considering that there isn't much. Everyone else in the division is tied up with their own business as far as what we see potentially for other guys, but right now, yeah, that's the next fight for Justin Gaethje. And for Oliveira, like I said, man, this title does not deserve to be vacant for too long, and Oliveira most definitely deserves to be in that title fight because he's kind of technically never lost it.
Yep, exactly.
We can move on from this fight to the next fight, the co-main event on the card. Carla Esparza versus Rose Namajunas. Carla Esparza wins this fight via split decision, and so she gets the UFC Women's Strawweight Championship. That's what happened.
It happened, yeah. I mean, let's just be real. This fight sucked. It
was the worst fight ever.
It's up there with Derek Lewis and Francis Ngannou, which I always say is the worst fight I've ever seen, most disappointing fight I've ever been in. And this is up there. I mean, this is up there with Tim Sylvia and Andre Arlovski 3 when the trilogy fights. Up there with Woodley and Wonderboy 2. I didn't know there was a knockdown at the end, but that fight was just oof. It's up there with those fights and any other fight I'm thinking. And there's probably other fights that were boring that didn't live up, that were awful. I'm probably forgetting. I mean, people bring up Anderson Silva and Damian Maia, but at least Anderson Silva in the first round and a half was actually piecing up Maia, then decided to coast, which is probably worse than what Rose and Carlo did in their fight. But this was not a good fight at all. I mean, Dean Thomas said it best. Everybody loses after the first round. I mean, everyone lost. I think, yeah. I mean, because when the first round happened, I thought it was just two girls being patient. I thought, okay, they're being patient. Maybe they'll let loose in the second round. They just want to feel each other out, but it didn't happen. It did not happen. It was just, I mean, Carla went for some takedowns, and Rose got up from some of them. Some of them she landed, but Rose got up. It's like, but
no, but see, this is the crazy part. Carla got the takedown for a moment, but then Rose was able to get back up. So she, there was some takedowns they didn't count, and then there was some that they did count, but Rose was able to get up instantly. Other than that, Carla couldn't provide any offense in space like that.
No, exactly. No, and with they were Rose, I think she's the one person we're probably most frustrated with. I mean, Carla too, obviously, because Carla, I don't know why she didn't go for more takedowns, or at least she would take down, fake she would take down to where she can throw overhand or something and catch Rose off. But Carla deserves blame, but also Rose. I mean, it wasn't like Rose was getting dominated. She was moving she was defensively. She was moving well, like stand-up wise. Like she was, active. She was moving back side to side. She just didn't. It looks good. Your defense looked great, but striking wise, but you gotta engage. You gotta put offense as well. And she didn't do that. And that's well. Go ahead and say, because something else I want to bring up. Well, go ahead.
Because she mentioned something like how people want to see her get into a brawl, and it's like it's not seeing you get into a brawl.
Nope.
It's seeing you fight. Like, you're a fighter, so fight. And that means throw punches. And not only that, but you're a mixed martial artist, so you better throw some kicks in as well. The option to throw the leg kick was there all night, and she never explored it any of the time. This was the worst fight ever.
Yeah, it was. And it's a shame, because Rose is an entertaining fighter. She's really entertaining. I mean, the Joanna fights, the Wei Li fights, the two Jessica Andrade fights were entertaining. I mean, go ahead.
And you know what's crazy? I'm sorry for cutting you off, but you just bringing up so much valid points, and I'm just agreeing with you. I just want to add, especially when you mentioned the Wei Li fight, the second time around, it was the similar strategy. But remember, she provided way more offense.
She took her down. She did things on top of her. Like, she actually was offensive. You're right about that. You're absolutely right.
She was not offensive.
No, and it's ridiculous. And one thing I want to point out that shocked me was the commentary mentioned this, that I forget which round, but I think it might have been after the second to the third, or third to the fourth. I don't remember. Her Rose's corner, we're talking to her, and her one of her coaches / husband, Pat Barry, was mentioning, that you're winning. This is good. The crowd's booing you. That's good. You're means you're having success. Which I'm like, why would you say that? That is a dumb statement to make, especially Pat Barry, a former fighter, UFC fighter, who should know better. And then apparently Whitman was telling her to be more aggressive. Trevor Whitman, Rose's head coach, was telling her to do more, I believe. But I mean, I think I listened to Weigh In, and Josh Thompson, Big John, they are correct that the coaches deserve blame for this fight as well, especially Rose's coaches, because they instead of telling her that she's doing well, she's winning. Yeah, she may look good defensively, doing things you want her to do, but she's losing because she's not doing enough offense. And worst thing you can do is tell a fighter that in a close fight that she's winning or he's winning, or that they're doing well, because it forced them not to pick up the action.
Exactly.
And Pat Barry, especially Pat Barry, who he should know better. I mean, I get he's Rose's husband, but at the same time, he's a former fighter himself, who should know that you gotta be careful with the judges. Just because you may feel like you're doing something well, doesn't the judges see it? And watching it, that wasn't the case. I mean, that's bad coaching for Rose, especially from her husband.
I'm not even gonna lie. The worst part about it was, like, it was so bad. I just, like, at some point, everyone had the thought of wanting the referee to say, like, you guys gotta fight or something.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yes, as a matter of fact, that's a good point. The commentary team brought it up. I think Herb Dean did it. I forget which fight it was, but
DC brought up, at least back in the Pride days, someone would have had, like, the referee had the option of throwing up a yellow card and saying, like, you guys aren't throwing enough combos right now. Y'all just dancing around. Because that's the truth. Like, at the end of this, it didn't. I didn't feel like Carla won the fight.
I feel like I know it wasn't like Carla. You know, she just did enough, but Carla herself didn't exactly fight all that well either. I know we talk about Rose a lot, but like I mentioned, Carla could have done better. She deserves some blame in this fight too.
This is the thing. Like we know for sure Rose lost the fight because she didn't fight, but Carla obliged in not fighting.
Which is weird. It's because Carla has the victory over Rose. It's not like if she loses the Rose, I can't get in their title fight. You have the victory over her. She should have taken. I understand you don't want to take dumb risks, but you gotta take a risk. Cause fighting's always risky. I understand. I'm not, we're not fighters, but you gotta know fighting is full of risk. Sometimes you gotta do things to gain what you want.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. It just, you know what? Let me not accuse that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. But
you know what I was about to say.
I know what you're about to say. I know.
Let me not even accuse that.
The
last thing I'm gonna say is, coming off of the amazing fight that Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano had, where they packed MSG and shut it down, because that was a fight. That was a good fight. This fight was a disservice to women's combat.
I agree. This is a service to women's combat, especially the 115 division, which you've heard me say numerous times is the best women's division in MMA, and it is still. But the championship fight for that division did not deliver and did disservice to that great division. It's a shame too.
If any title should have been vacant after this event, if there was any title that should have been vacant after this event,
yes.
It should have been that strawweight championship, because I'm just gonna say this: neither of them deserved to win that title, and truthfully, we all lost, and we're continuing to lose while we're us talking about this fight.
I was gonna say I'll say one name before we move on. There's actually two winners, just two. Well, two in the teams, two winners in this fight. You want to get Cheick and Wei Li Zhang, because both women are 0-2 against Rose, and Rose not being champion means their fight next month can have title implications. Maybe whether or not they deserve it or not, maybe not. Marina Rodriguez is on a roll, and I know she wants a title fight next. Marina, that's considering it's gonna have new blood in that strawweight title picture. Considering the 4 or 5 champions have been Carla, Rose, Joanna, and Wei Li, and of course Andrade as well. Somebody's gonna have try to get new blood maybe in the title picture.
That's what I was about to say. And Andrade is, oh wow, they got her on both rankings. But yeah, Andrade is definitely a viable contender. Like truthfully, everyone in the division won with that title fight, because they all now are like, you know what, I got a chance. Carla Esparza cannot turn down any call out.
No, she cannot.
Especially after that.
No. Yeah, I totally agree with you there. You're on the money there, Dan. I mean, this was all-time worst fight. All-time one of the worst fights ever.
This is terrible.
Awful. Let's talk about something else. Something that was good, entertaining, and exciting. Also sad as well if you're a fan of Tony Ferguson. The lightweight fight between Michael Chandler and Tony Ferguson ends in the second round via knockout front kick by Michael Chandler. 17 seconds into the second round, as you see that image of Ferguson just getting that front kick. If you're watching on YouTube or on video, I mean, damn. I mean, I'm almost gonna swear, I know, but man, it's just Tony Ferguson looked good in the first round. He really did. I mean, yeah, a lot of people felt like that. Unfortunately, Tony didn't choose that route, unfortunately, getting knocked out. A lot of people felt like Tony when watching Rose and Carla rematch. They did, I mean. We'll talk about that after the fight.
We'll talk about that as well, yeah.
Yeah, but back to Tony and Michael. Great fight. This was entertaining. It delivered. I mean, the two lightweight fights delivered, like we expected. Gaethje Oliveira and this fight. They both were excellent, good fights. I mean, Tony Ferguson dropped Chandler in the first round, although Chandler was a little off balance, but still he fell after a punch from Ferguson, and and Ferguson gone. No, excuse me. Yeah, Ferguson. No, wait. No, okay. I'm sorry. I'm misremembering what happened. God, there was one point where Chandler took down Ferguson. Really, yeah, a great takedown. I mean, Tony kind of flew
It
in the
was,
air when he took
oh,
him down.
yes. Yes. It was a great, like, he just, like, it was, hey, by now you got to know Michael Chandler's,
Strong guy. Great, strong
no,
wrestler.
you just got to know his style, because he has that, he's similar to Kyoji Horiguchi in the way he darts in, darts out. And he's just like, he's throwing with the, just darting in and darting out. And Tony just thought he was just going to back up. And Tony was just like, you know what? I'm just going to block it and he's going to back up. But then he scooped up Tony's legs, looked at where he was going to slam him. Boom! Got him down. It was a great slam. You were absolutely right. That was a great slam. But then Tony, like you said, Tony was game. Continue.
Yeah, and Tony he was throwing a lot of elbows off his bottom, which Ferguson, if you take him down, he's gonna throw elbows off his bottom. He's deadly off. He's one of the few fighters where on his back he's just as deadly as being on top. I mean, his elbows were landing. They even cut Chandler. He had like a cut somewhere in I forget where, and even his eye was like. Even Chandler mentioned in the post-fight interview, his eye kind of got messed up by Ferguson by those elbows to the point where I think he was seeing double vision or something. I forget what he said, but don't tell the commission. The Rogan after the post-fight interview. And Ferguson did very well. Chandler landed some, strikes of his own on top, but Ferguson was doing more off his bottom. And Tony Ferguson came back. Tony Ferguson had won 12 in a row. That was one of the best lightweights in the world. He looked like it. It was like, okay, Tony's back. Tony, it's gonna be a very tough fight for Chandler. But the second round comes and Chandler does that front kick, and once that lands, it was good night, Irene. Ferguson just fell. I mean, he was out cold. I mean, it was shocking. Everyone was shocked. My brother was like screaming top of his lungs when that happened, which I don't blame him because that was so damn unexpected. The whole crowd was losing it. Every MMA fan watching this was losing it. I mean, man, it's a contender for knockout of the year. It's a contender for it. That and Molly McCann's spin elbow are the two knockouts that are knockout of the year worthy. But damn, Michael freaking Chandler, my gosh. I mean, go ahead, Dan. Speak on what your thoughts on this fight, because I've been talking long enough. I know you want to get out there and say your words.
Like, wow, this was crazy. Like, and because you knew, like, let me get it together. I'll see you at the top. Let me get it together. Okay. All right. Like, it was a tough round to that first round, but we were like, I think everyone unanimously was like, you know what? Tony got that round. He looked really good, but Michael Chandler looked really good too. He did end the round on top, but Tony was cutting him up from the bottom, and he was able to stumble Michael Chandler as well. So it was like, you know what? We could give that round to Tony Ferguson. Tony Ferguson looked really, really good. El Cucuy was back. El Cucuy was back. And then 17 seconds into the round, and like the front kick was like, he was throwing it. Michael Chandler was throwing it in the first round, but it didn't give any dividends. Like, he threw it a couple of times and said, you know what, let me just get into speeding back and forth. Also, I think after he got rocked the first time, he didn't want to throw the front kick anymore because he really kept stumbling and slipping. He also slipped again during the first round. I think you remember that. And it was also off of him trying to throw a kick or something like that. So he kind of abandoned the kick, early on in the first round. But then he comes back to it like he digs from the well. And my God, Tony Ferguson's body just crumbled. And you knew it. And
it was just shocking.
I needed 4 more backflips.
That's right, Chandler's backflips. I mean, good point. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm speechless because this is really knockout contender. This contender for knockout of the year. Like,
Yes. I mean,
I debated between myself last night between this and Molly McCann. Like, which one is? Because like both Tony Ferguson and Luana Carolina got sent to the Shadow Realm. We know that for a fact because Tony, like, I think like the dialogue they were having, I think they were explaining to Tony what he got hit with when he finally got sat up on the. And Joe Rogan was like, I remember while Michael Chandler was running around the ring celebrating, and he hopped up on top of the cage and he's like, you know, letting the crowd in and bask in the celebration. And they're just like, oh my God. And next time Jedi has to get the face cam so they can see the faces of
Rogan,
Rogan, Anik, and Cormier, because Cormier literally, he looked at Rogan for a little bit and turned back as Rogan's face goes, yeah,
that's right. Everyone was talking about Rogan's face during that knockout.
Because Rogan's face is, because it's like, you don't see that.
No,
it's
you
like
don't.
You like I tried comparing it to Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva was more of a karate front kick. Like Chandler, he looked like he just kicked off a football for kickoff.
I think Silva was the same like that. I think it was just like that personally. But I see what you mean.
No, because Silva was like, I think you know what it is also, because Silva's frame and the different, because he's taller than Michael Chandler,
lankier than Chandler. Chandler's more built, like a
and not only that, if you remember, damn, who was it again?
Silva against Vitor.
Vitor, I think Vitor was leaning forward a little.
Yeah, he was when he was leaning forward and Silva threw it.
So Silva's foot didn't have to come up as high as Michael Chandler's foot, but Chandler's foot came up there and he looked like he kicked off a football for. He looked like if football did guest kickoffs, they would have been like, here, go ahead, you can kick, you can punt, you can get the first kickoff, you can kick off the first game for the NFL, because that's what he did, and Tony was. And Joe Rogan was like, oh my God, Tony is still out and his legs are crossed. I remember that. Like, it's so, you don't forget a knockout like that.
You don't. I mean, this is like kind of like, I don't know which one was more. I mean, it's crazy because I'm thinking of this one that Oliveira one he did to Frank Diego in November at Madison Square Garden, where, I mean, if you look at the image of both guys that are getting kicked, like the image is very similar, like how their faces go when they get kicked from the front kick. Yeah, Frank Diego's face was just like that when Cheeto Vera did to him. It's just like, I mean, Mike's like, damn, it's like, I think Chandler. I don't know which one was more impressive between Cheeto and Chandler. I mean, it depends. I mean, whatever you think is more impressive, I can't argue too much. But I mean, jeez. I mean, what a out of nowhere knockout. I mean, damn. We knew Chandler's hands are dynamite. I mean, he's had some great knockouts. The one he did at Chicky Pitbull 2 in Bellator is one of the most underrated knockouts in MMA history, because his hands move so damn quick. If you haven't watched that, go check it out, because that knockout is freaking impressive as F. I can't say it, but you know what I mean. It's one, but to him throw a kick and knock out someone, let alone Tony Ferguson, who does not get knocked out or finished. I know Gaethje finished him, but that was after a beatdown, getting a lot of damage. It wasn't because of 1 or 2 or 3 shots. It was And for him to do that at Ferguson of all people, it's just like, damn. I mean, if you're a Tony fan, it was kind of sad to see. It's kind of like back in the day when Liddell got knocked out by Rashad Evans. It was kind of like sad because two guys who have legendary chins all of a sudden get knocked out for one shot. Kind of like that.
I mean, but I think the star of this show was Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler stole the pay-per-view. It was his show. From like the kick landed, he ran around the ring, jumped on top of the barricade, celebrated with the crowd, then he gave us one backflip. Then he gave us 2 backflips. Then he gave us 3 backflips. And he said, you know what? Y'all need one more, and gave us 4 backflips. My God. And then Chandler is just so energetic, and I love it, man. You give him the microphone, and he knows what to do. He knows what to do. He had a possibility of fighters, man.
Yep.
He said whoever wins this fight between Oliveira and Gaethje, I could get in the ring with either one of them. I'ma shake it. Or you know what? Conor McGregor, I haven't seen you in the ring in a while. Blow the roof off this place. You at your best, me at my best. At 170. Let's go. And it's like,
I agree. That's what it is. I agree with you. I mean, Michael Chandler, that promo, that interview cut was so damn good that, I mean, the people who do the heels of the ring, you know, the crew that does that show can appreciate that Michael Chandler promo, where I Am Healed, Dad, and everyone else. I mean, even I forget the wrestler's name we interviewed. I forget his name. Oliver. Dang, I'm forgetting his name. But I apologize.
Such good.
Yeah,
promo.
they can appreciate that. They can appreciate that promo. A pro wrestling fan can appreciate that because that is very elite level promo stuff right there. I mean, he cut it was brilliant. He called the winner of the main event, considering he has history of both guys, and he was an entertaining fight to both. I mean, he was in fight of the year with Gaethje back in November, and then he called out Conor McGregor as well, the biggest star in MMA, a guy that, you know, he's one of generally the lightweight that McGregor hasn't fought yet, and you know McGregor's getting a little big. He said, "Let's do it 170 then. Well, you're your best, I'm at my best." And the way he sold it, it's like, before this fight, no one was thinking about McGregor coming back against Chandler. Like that wasn't in anyone's mind. But what Michael Chandler did, now that's what people are talking about. McGregor Chandler next.
I mean, I'm not even gonna lie. McGregor is a star, bro. I'm not the UFC is doing fine without him. Yeah, but come on now. Like a Conor McGregor promo is nothing like a Conor McGregor promo, especially when he's the bad guy, when he gets the strut, when his music hits. Conor's a star, man. And it was like, who did we want to see him fight against? Nate Diaz said no, he doesn't want to do the trilogy.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier, we don't want to see that again.
Yeah. At
that point, who else for Conor? And it's like, not for nothing. If Michael Chandler could win that fight, he gets any fight he wants, man.
Yeah, exactly. He gets any fight he wants, including a title fight. Now, if he beats McGregor, I mean, this was what I mean. Michael Chandler, he was a star tonight. He delivered. He came through and delivered and stole the show. I mean, Michael freaking Chandler did a fantastic job. The fight itself, the knockout, the promo. I mean, my gosh, Michael Chandler. I mean, for a guy who wasn't a big wrestling fan, as he said on the Ariel Shawani show, he didn't grow up watching pro wrestling. He's really done a good job with his promos, like a pro wrestling fan. I mean, this is like McGregor can appreciate a good promo. I'm pretty sure Chael can appreciate the promo he cuts. I mean, any pro wrestling fan, show them this, they can appreciate what Chandler did. It was
but not
phenomenal.
only that, he did a tremendous service not only to the sport but to Dana White. He this was the reason, if you wanted to just if there was a saving grace for this card, it was his Michael Chandler fight. And even him calling people out, it helps with progression in the sport. Because now we know who we want to see next. And Michael Chandler, like, he's not a fight night guy. He's not a fight night guy.
I mean, if they do him and McGregor, that could be the main event, pay-per-view. Just McGregor of Chandler, and it makes sense. Well, McGregor versus anyone makes sense, but especially Chandler. So you mentioned he's not a fight night guy; he's a pay-per-view guy.
I'm not even gonna lie. He's kind of in that rare. I'm about to say something that sounds weird, but he's in the rare realm of those pay-per-view stars like a Conor, like a Jorge Masvidal. Those two guys, a Nate Diaz. You're not getting Nate Diaz or Nick Diaz. You're not getting the Diaz brothers on a fight night. Nope. You're not getting Conor McGregor on a fight night. And you're not getting, and now I can add this name for sure, and Jorge Masvidal as well. You're not getting Jorge Masvidal on a fight night. And you're definitely not getting Michael Chandler on a fight night. This guy is pay-per-view. He's box office. He is box office.
Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. I totally agree.
Like, I mean, even you said it. Like, even the last two fights he lost, it's Oliveira and Gaethje.
But those were exciting fights.
And both were exciting fights. On top of he came in the entrance with a bang against Dan Hooker. Coming off of being a substitution fighter, when everyone was kind of angry, it was like, oh, why is Michael Chandler that big of a deal? And then he came in and was like, hey, I am a showstopper with Dan Hooker. Then he gets into the ring with Oliveira, and even though he lost, like, that was entertaining. Then he gives you fight of the night with Justin Gaethje, and that was the fight of the year with Justin Gaethje. Fight of the night, fight of the year. Cause that was, oh my god. And then this, he's a pay-per-view star.
He has to be now. If he ain't, he is now. It doesn't matter. He fights McGregor next, or maybe he fights someone else. It's gotta be on pay-per-view. Doesn't matter.
It's gotta be on pay-per-view. Michael Chandler is a pay-per-view star.
Yes, you can do him and Dariush. The winner fights the winner of Oliveira and Islam. Has to be on pay-per-view. Is that next? I mean that's a possibility too. If he has McGregor fights, it could be. He has
options. He could even step in against Oliveira again for the vacant title, and I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Me neither. I'll be excited. I like to see the rematch. Yeah. Totally
Chandler
agree.
He's in a good space right now.
Yes, he is. He definitely is. And man, Tony Ferguson. I mean, I think you and I were talking about this like before we went on the air about, you know, like what's next for Tony, and how Dana White talked about how, because someone asked Dana, do you think Tony's best days are done to where he should retire? And Dana White said no. I mean, anyone can get caught by that, anyone can get caught with that. That doesn't mean he should retire. And I agree with Dana. Dana's right. Yeah, Tony just got caught with front kick that could knock out probably 90% of all the roster. Even like a guy like Kamaru Usman, who's pound for pound, if he gets catches like that, he might get knocked out even. I mean, that's just one of those things.
An overhand right or a front kick, anything like that, it's once it rattles the brain enough, they're all mortal at the end of the day.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Tony Ferguson prior to that looked like the old Tony Ferguson. He looked very well. He was sharp. He did the elbows off his back, cutting people up. He dropped Mecco. I mean, so for Tony, I mean, whatever he does next, he's definitely still got a dangerous guy. And maybe instead of getting these elite, super elite guys they've been fighting lately, maybe throw someone to maybe the low top 10 for him to fight next. That's just me.
I mean, but then again, like, this is the thing. Like, you could definitely do that. So it would be a choice between keeping Tony Ferguson ranked, or you're introducing some parity into the division. But my whole thing is like, Tony, like, I know we're talking about this, but we still remember amongst ourselves, Tony won the first round.
Yeah.
Tony won the first round. So we definitely shall see what's next for Tony Ferguson. He is still a mainstay in the division.
Yes, he is. Definitely is a mainstay in that division, for damn sure. And great fight, great performance by Teco Chandler. And it was needed because the fight previous to that, was not a great fight either. Between Shogun and OSP, and this fight made me sad. The reason why is because I'm a big Shogun Hua fan, and seeing Shogun in a boring fight where there's low activity was something I never thought I'd ever see, and it happened. And it's like, and it's just, if you're, and this is not Shogun, this is not the guy who won the 205 middleweight Grand Prix, in my opinion, the greatest tournament in MMA history. This is not the guy who defeated Leo Machida for the light heavyweight championship. This is not the guy who was part of, my opinion, the greatest fight in MMA history. Him and Dan Henderson won. You know, he lost that fight. That fight is so damn good. It's my favorite fight of all time. This is not the guy who gave us great knockouts and pride in the UFC. This is not that guy. And OSP too is older himself. I mean, he's not spring chicken either. OSP's had some good performances. Sometimes he's very hit and miss. Sometimes he can give you a great performance and then do something where it looked unmotivated. But this fight was not what I thought it was. I didn't think it was going to be fight a 9 contender, but I thought it'd be more entertaining. This wasn't it. I mean, it makes sense that Shogun wants to retire after one more fight, and it's the right time for Shogun to retire.
Yeah, I agree. Neither of these fighters go nowhere. I think both of these fighters should retire. I know Ovince St. Preux is not going to retire yet, but he should, because this is just a terrible fight. This was a terrible fight.
I agree. Let's talk about the first fight. It was a good fight that opened the card. I thought it was, between Randy Brown and Chaos Williams. And Randy Brown beats Chaos Williams via split decision, 29-20 and 2 judges scorecards, 28-29. The other one going for Chaos Williams. And Randy Brown looked very well. His striking defense looked very good. I mean, he was dodging with good head movement, just making Chaos miss. I mean, a few times Chaos landed, it did affect Randy badly. He dropped Randy in the first round with a short right hand that I didn't notice until they showed the replay. And in the third round, he called him too, where Randy was like, ooh, you know, Chaos got power. We all know Chaos can knock dudes, out any time. And Randy Brown was just sticking and moving, attacking them, throwing combinations, but also getting out the way with great head movement. It was frustrating Chaos Williams because Chaos kept throwing punches with power, with vicious tension, and he couldn't land. And Randy Brown just kept moving out the way. Great, like I said, great head movement, great body movement too overall. And just kept touching Chaos Williams, and I thought that he did that so well and deserved the victory over Chaos Williams. So Randy Brown gets a great victory representing Jamaica and Queens, New York. He lives in Queens, fights out of Queens as well. I want to shout that out.
Yeah, I agree 100%. This is going to be learning tape for Chaos Williams completely, because we've seen him go through 3-round wars before. And we know the power lasts through 3 rounds. Yes. We know that. So my issue with Chaos Williams was watching this fight. He kind of was a little too confident in his power, and then just kept, loading up too much in certain shots. And then he would kind of rush in a little with just striking, because his boxing is very good. But Randy Brown, he had that length over him, and then just kept, keeping him at bay, at distance. Chaos Williams provided a little bit of head movement, but it wasn't enough to throw Randy Brown off. So for me personally, in regards to Chaos Williams, there's going to be a lot of tape. Maybe he has to learn to diversify the striking and not be so lenient on the power. If you know you have it in your back pocket, and we've seen it last through 3 rounds, you can make someone sleep easily, then it's okay. You can diversify the striking, throw some leg kicks, try and get into the clinch, things of that nature. He didn't also throw a lot of body shots either. When he did throw body shots, he got some success, but after that he went away and just kept headhunting Randy Brown. And that's not the way to do that against such a skilled fighter like Randy Brown. But this was a good fight. This was a very, very good fight.
I agree. And Randy Brown, he's starting to put a little streak together. I think this is his 3rd or 4th victory in a row. Yeah, I think 4th, right? 3rd or 4th, I don't remember. But it's one of those 2. But Randy Brown, guy who's been in UFC for a while, and well, not for a long time, but for a little bit. You know, he's not a newcomer anymore. He's not a newcomer, and he's putting on a streak together where he's right there near the top 15 in that welterweight division. He's right. I mean, it would make sense for him to fight someone that's ranked between maybe 10 to 15. He's right there. He's close on the rankings. I mean, good victory for him.
I'm not gonna lie, he's got to start climbing up the rank. You see it. You're absolutely right. He's on a 3-fight winning streak. His last loss was against Vicente Luque. So.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, representing Jamaica very well. I mean, it seems like everyone knows that there's starting to be like some Jamaican fighters doing well. I'm starting noticing that. You got Aljamain's Jamaican. You know, he's the champ. You got Randy Brown, and then also Leon Edwards and his brother Fabian are both originally from Jamaica, and they moved to England when they were young. But it was, Fabian fights in Bellator, and Leon obviously UFC Bellator championship. I just realized that it's starting to see a little bit, more, Jamaicans starting doing well. So it's not, it's something I want to point out because I just realized it last night when I thought about it. I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, most definitely. Shout out to the Jamaicans.
Shout them out. Yep. Love Jamaican people, but that's another story. Great people, but yeah. Let's talk about the prelims. I mean, anything you want to mention in the prelims?
First fight that I want to mention in the prelims, Lupita Godinez versus Ariane Carnelosi. Lupi Godinez wins this fight via unanimous decision, and Lupi had a great night, and her family had a great weekend. I think her two sisters just won some gold in their wrestling competition. So congratulations to the Godinez family, and Lupi was able to secure this fight. It was a dominant performance for Lupi Godinez. Striking wise, she was she had it, and then when it came to mixing it up with the martial arts into the clinch and then taking it down to the ground, she had Carnelosi just in a whirlwind, and it was just complete. It was a complete fight from Lupi Godinez, and she's trying to fight next week as well. I love it from Lupi. I absolutely love it. That's who she is, though. And that was a great fight. Is there a fight that you want to shout out in the preliminaries?
Yes, I want to shout Andre Fiallo against Andre Fiallo. Why is it totally slipping my mind again?
Cameron Van Camp.
Van Camp, there we go. Cameron Van Camp. Andre Fiallo with impressive first round knockout with a left hook. I think it was a left hook that dropped Van Camp. I mean, Andre Fiallo. When I found he was on this card, I was shocked because he had just fought like 3 weeks earlier in the Luque Muhammad card against Miguel Baeza. In that fight, Miguel did catch him a couple times. I think dropped him, if I'm mistaken.
Nah, he just stunned him and made him wobble back to the cage.
Okay, yes, he was stumbling and wobbling back to the cage, and yet he was able to finish Miguel Baeza, though. Not surprised that such short notice he turned around and fought on his pay-per-view card. But it worked out. He got an impressive victory, which I think he got performance bonus, if I'm not mistaken, which he deserved because that was a great victory. I mean, vicious knockouts. And he mentioned he wants to fight again in Singapore, the next pay-per-view, in June 11th in Singapore. And apparently he says he already got a fight for that card, which I'm impressed. I mean, I guess since he told UFC ahead of time, they just waiting to see if he win, and he did. And I like this from Andre Fiallo. This is his third fight this year because he made his debut against Michel Pereira in UFC 270, the Ngannou Gone card, and he lost that fight. He did well early on, but just that Pereira made adjustments and was able to beat Fiallo. And then Fiallo beats Baeza. Now he beats Van Camp, and he's trying to, I guess, do what I call the Hamza Chimaev route, fight very actively and win a bunch of fights to get your name out there. Or the Kevin Holland route, actually, because Holland did in 2020 as well. Fought 5 times, fought 5 times 7 months, which I can't blame him. I mean, you fight very often, and you win these fights. You get a bigger buzz among the MMA community, which then leads you to get paid more, and also it puts you closer in the rankings. So shout out to Andre Fiallo.
Yeah, most definitely. Even with him getting rocked earlier, that was because he got rocked also in this fight as well, and he was still able to come back and deliver that left hook. But that was a great fight. Another fight I want to shout out in the preliminaries, Brandon Royval versus Matt Schnell. Brandon Royval was able to win this fight 2 minutes and 14 seconds into the first round via a guillotine choke. Brandon Royval, man, he is a bad dude. He is a bad dude. He's still that highly touted prospect. He's still that guy. I know he had a bit of a string of bad luck here and there, but man, this was a good fight for him. And this also got a bonus, a fight of the night bonus, where both him and Matt Schnell got bonuses, because Matt Schnell also did put up a great fight, but Brandon Royval, man, this was just a good fight.
Okay. And I also want to shout out to Francisco Trinaldo winning his fight against Danny Roberts in the main event, the prelims. It was originally not supposed to be. It was supposed to be Williams and Rennie Brown, but Cowboy Cerrone and Joe Lozon didn't happen because Cowboy got sick, unfortunately, and they had to cancel that fight. So this became the main event, the prelims. Trinaldo and Danny Roberts, and Cowboy and Charlo at 43 years old, winning, doing very well and winning against Roberts. Here, Roberts in that second round dropped him a body shot, I believe, or hurt him badly, and went for guillotine. And for a guy who's 43, got another guy in his mid 40s, still came up with the young guys and doing well and beating them. Like Romero we talked earlier, Charlo doing the same thing.
Yeah, but he looked like, this is crazy. He looked younger than both Ovens and Shogun. He looked younger than both of those guys, but
That's true.
But yeah, you're absolutely right. That was a good performance. Any other performance you want to shout out?
I can't think of one. I can't think of any that I'm aware of.
That's it. So then we can finish off with the 274. UFC 274, quite the mixy card. But before we end off the coverage of 274, we do want to have a special shout out to DC double champ Daniel Cormier. He's been inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame along with Khabib Nurmagomedov. DC, man, a Hall of Fame career he's having on the broadcast table, but a Hall of Fame career he most definitely had during his run in the UFC as a fighter, both light heavyweight and heavyweight champion. The epic battles he's had with Stipe Miocic, the epic battles he's had with John Jones, epic battle he had with Francis Ngannou. He put on shows, man. Huh?
No,
yeah, Francis.
I don't recall him fighting. Did he Gustafson? You get what you mean?
No, he fought Francis as well.
No, really? I don't remember.
No,
that.
Was it?
No, I think you're Rumble.
No, I'm wilding. It was Derek Lewis. I'm wilding. Derek Lewis.
Yes.
Derek Lewis. Excuse me. But yeah, Derek Lewis, that was a great fight where he just schooled Derek Lewis.
Oh yeah,
but,
I remember that.
Yeah, Daniel Cormier, man, excellent career. Is there anything else anything you want to shout out for DC?
I mean, Hall of Famer for sure. Going the same year as Khabib Nurmagomedov, his teammate at American Kickboxing Academy, aka. So it's kind of a cool moment that he's going in with one of his close friends, Khabib, and his teammate Khabib Nurmagomedov, both going the same year. And that Cormier, like I said, double champ. He was the UFC heavyweight and light heavyweight champion, and like I said, he had great performances. Great war. That great trilogy fight with Stipe, where especially that first one where he knocked out Stipe unexpectedly, that right hook to win the heavyweight title. And then of course, like you say, the Derek Lewis fight, we just destroyed Derek Lewis, just schooled him badly. Also, the Strikeforce heavyweight tournament I want to mention. I know this is not UFC, but that he was the alternate, and he was the guy that no one knew. And after that tournament, he won. Everyone knew Daniel Cormier was because he knocked out Bigfoot Silva after Bigfoot had just beaten Fedor, and he just dominated Josh Barnett. I mean, picked him up and slammed him. Barnett's no small dude. Then his UFC run, he was just he came in and burst on the scene immediately in UFC, beating Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, Dan Henderson. We picked him up and slammed him, considering Dan Henderson the credential wrestler. Of course, his rivalry with John Jones is legendary. I mean, considering the hatred those two had for each other and still somewhat do to this day. I mean, and then of course the Rumble Johnson fights were very good, considering Rumble was probably the scariest guy in the division at the time, and Cormier beat him twice. Especially that first fight, we got dropped by Rumble, but came back and submitted him in the second round. And then the Alexander Gustafsson fight, which I think is underrated and no one talks about in terms of all-time great fights, because that fight was very entertaining. It was back and forth. To me, it's one of the great title fights in UFC history. It's one of the most underrated fights in UFC history because of the momentum changes in that fight. So that I mentioned that, and he's a legit Hall of Famer, one of the great all-time legends in the history of MMA. Daniel Cormier deserves it, and now he's in the commentary booth, which for the most part he's done a good job. I know some things I disagree with him at times, but overall, he's been a very good commentator for the UFC, and he deserves this. So shout out Daniel Cormier.
Most definitely, man. I'm all about that cake. Yeah,
that's right.
I'm all about that cake. Yeah, chicken.
Yep, Cormier. If you don't know what that is, that's a reference to the World MMA Awards in 2015 with Daniel Cormier. If you go watch that video, you'll understand why Chef Dan said what he said. The reference to Cormier. The reference to Cormier in 2015 MMA Awards.
Most definitely. But from there, we could also move on to just some boxing that happened over the weekend. Canelo Alvarez lost, ladies and gentlemen. BIVOL defeated Canelo after it went to decision. All three judges scored it 115 to 113 for BIVOL. Dimitri BIVOL defeated Canelo Alvarez. A lot of the Canelo Alvarez fans were distraught after this one. But Dimitri, rightfully so, won this fight. I think, from the 6th to the 10th round, he was beating on Canelo, man. He just, Canelo tried doing a lot of the head movement, but it didn't work. That fancy head movement that it works sometimes on other boxers. It didn't work because Dimitri kept hitting him. Canelo had some really good rounds earlier. He was walking down Dimitri a lot. But then as the round started to go on, Dimitri just had more energy than Canelo did, and he won the fight. But that's some news that happened in boxing. From there, we can move on from that fight to Bellator 281. That's going to happen this Friday, the 13th. It's going to start at 12:30. We have Michael Venom Page versus Logan Storley. This is to decide the Bellator MMA Interim Welterweight Championship. Austin, you got to tell me what you see from this fight, because I see a guy in Michael Venom Page who is a creative striker, a guy who is accurate and dynamic, and Logan Storley, who's more so going to walk you down. He's got some, he has some striking, but he'd more so prefer the grappling. What do you see from this fight?
You're right about what you said about MVP and how MVP is a creative striker. I mean, he's got very flashy knockouts. A lot of his knockouts are super flashy. MVP is a very creative striker, very entertaining to watch when he knocks guys out. And Logan Storley is a guy, like you mentioned, wants to push forward and it's definitely work on his striking and wrestle you and take you down. Considering he's an All-American at Minnesota, if I'm mistaken. Yeah, Minnesota, that's right. Because I mentioned that him and Brock Lesnar went to the same high school and same university. And he's All-American like Brock Lesnar was at wrestling. And this is a wrestler versus striker matchup, a classic example. And this fight, it's going to come down, can MVP avoid getting taken down? And if he does get taken down, can he find a way to get up or present a challenge off his back? Because if he can't do that, then Logan Storley's just going to grapple and wrestle him to death and just dominate him on top position. But his fight it stays standing. It's MVP's fight because he's such creative. It's such a better striker that, Logan Storley's improved striking. Logan Storley can't answer MVP. Can't match with MVP striking wise. MVP's just gonna pick him apart until he gets a knockout or just beats him up for 5 rounds, goes to decision. Logan Storley's a tough guy, And this is a very good main event. Very good main event for the interim title. Originally, it's supposed to be MVP and Yermasov Amsarov, but unfortunately, Amsarov is Ukrainian right now, and he decided to go fight in the army Ukraine during the whole situation with the whole war of Russia at the moment. So I mean, hopefully he's not in Donbass right now in that region, considering what's going on over there in the Ukraine-Russia situation, the eastern part of Ukraine. But I believe that he should be able to come back and fight soon, despite being the Ukrainian military army at the moment. But yeah, it was supposed to be Amsarov and MVP, but because of the whole situation in Russia, Ukraine, and Amsarov being Ukrainian army, it's going to be postponed for later on this year. Who knows when? It all depends on what happens with the situation in Russia and Ukraine, and does Ukraine allow Amsarov to defend the title and all that. But yeah, definitely a good fight, a very good main event. I think I'm very intrigued by it. The wrestling versus grappling, wrestling versus striking aspect of it. Excuse me. MVP, great striker. Logan Story, very great wrestler. It's going to come down to, can MVP avoid getting taken down, and can he be a threat off his back or get up? That's the big difference.
I also think the one thing we're going to have to see is can MVP find some way to keep the spacing between him and Logan Storley at an appropriate range. He is the longer fighter, so if he can negate some forward pressure from Logan Storley, I think that's going to dictate a lot of the fight.
Totally agree. That's a very good point, Dan. That's an excellent point.
All right, moving on from there, we have the co-main event, Lyoto Machida versus Fabian Edwards. I think this is striking versus striking, man. What say you?
I totally agree. Striking versus striking. I believe Fabian's actually Leon Edwards' brother. I believe that's his brother, actually.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Okay, yeah, I was just looking up. The name sounds familiar, and I knew Leon had his brother fight in Bellator. And so, yes, his brother. All right, so Fabian Edwards go against the legend Lyoto Machida, who, Machida, this is not Machida of 10, 11 years ago or 13 years ago, but Lyoto Machida still can be dangerous on the feet. He's still got that awkward karate style that at times gives some fighters trouble. But I think Edwards is good enough, can be good enough to where, Leo's got a lot of tape on them, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And maybe, guys have been starting to figure out how to deal with Lyoto Machida and his style, especially as you get older. And it's going to come down to, can Edwards, find a way to neutralize, that inside-out tactic that karate guys tend to do. You know what I mean? That karate fighters tend to do and stuff like that.
Most definitely.
If he can do that, then he can have a lot of success against Lyoto Machida. And Lyoto, if you're able to get in and out and create space and touch while being touched, kind of like point fighting, but not really point fighting. That makes sense. Obviously Leo's got a lot of finishes on his belt. The guy can finish. We see him finish plenty of dudes in the past. He's got 2 front kick knockouts with Randy Couture and Vitor Belfort. That's another front kick knockout we didn't mention. Him and Vitor. Again, for Vitor. But Lyoto Machida and is still one of the more exciting fighters in MMA historically. And he's always a guy I look forward to watching. I think if you're Fabian, you neutralize the movement of Lyoto Machida and just try and just make him a stationary target to where I think you're good enough to have a lot of success against Lyoto. And if Fabian Edwards can somehow beat Lyoto Machida in England, his home country, oh my, that'd be the biggest victory of his career. It could do a lot of wonders for him, being a legend in Lyoto.
I agree with you 100%. This is striking versus striking, like you said. We know the book on how Lyoto Machida is going to attack this fight. We're going to find out with Fabian Edwards, because you're fighting a legend right now. You're fighting an absolute legend. We're going to see how you do. Moving on from that fight, we have in I don't see what weight class this is in.
Women's flyweight?
Yeah. Denise Kielholtz versus Kana Watanabe. Do you know any of these fighters? Because like I told you, yeah. Go ahead.
No. I was gonna say, yeah. Denise Kielholtz's last fight was against Juliana Vasquez for the flyweight title back in July. And that was a controversial fight. That was a fight where some thought Denise did enough to win, and she should have got the victory. But she didn't get the victory, and so she's returning her first fight since that loss against Watanabe, who's come off a loss to Liz Carmouche, which was Liz's last fight before she fought Julian Vasquez and won the title, albeit controversially in their title fight. So the two women who fought the two women who fought for the championship, last week I believe, 2 weeks ago in Hawaii, and both women, I think it's gonna be. I think it's gonna be like a lot of striking, but also some grappling as well. 'Cause I think Watanabe might have an advantage grappling wise. I can see it where if she does, she may want to go for a takedown just to mix it up and throw Denise off. She might have an advantage there potentially. I know she got 3 submissions along 3 KO TKOs Watanabe, and Denise does have 3 submissions herself, but she's also got But I think Watanabe, it might be better for her to go to the ground with Denise. That's just me, but I could be wrong. But I think Watanabe's wrestling is gonna be her key, and Denise keep it standing and make it striking and fair.
All right, we shall see. Next fight on the main card: Paul Daley versus Wendell. I don't want to butcher this.
Giacomo.
How do you see this fight going?
I don't know much about Wendell Giacomo. Originally, it's supposed to be Paul Daley against Andrei Koreshkov. Well, I do know, but Koreshkov couldn't go for some odd reason. Although I think it has to do with the Russia-Ukraine situation, where England's kind of like made it hard for Russian athletes to come in. I think that might be a thing. I don't know. It's just speculation on my part, but Koreshkov couldn't. It didn't say illness or injury or anything, but yeah, Koreshkov couldn't go, so Wendell Giacomo steps in and takes on Paul Daley, who I think is retiring, if I'm mistaken. I think this is his last fight. Could be wrong, but I know he's mentioned that he wants to, end his career soon. And if Daley's fighting in front of his home country in England, the guy is a legend. He's a guy who's a really entertaining fighter. I mean, the guy's got 42 victories. It's 34 of them are by KO and TKO. So, I mean, that guy is a finisher. He either wins by knockout, KO, or decision. Paul Daley. He's got no submission victories at all, Paul Daley. He doesn't believe in submissions, as I like to say. The guy's been some entertaining fights back in the day in Strikeforce, UFC. I mean, him and Nick Diaz might be one of the greatest one-round fights in the history of MMA. Him and Nick Diaz back in 2011 in Strikeforce. Got some highlight reel knockouts over the years. I mean, but Wendell Giacomo has got 4 submissions and 4 KO and TKOs. It was 9 victories. So, I mean, Wendell's the finisher as well. So, I can see, I think it's going to be a finish in this fight. I don't know who's going to win personally, but I think someone's getting finished. I mean, if Paul Daley wins, he might retire. It could be his last fight. I don't know. I could be wrong about that, but either way, someone's getting finished, and it should be a good fight in the card.
All right. Next fight on the card. First fight to kick off the main card will be Luke Traynor versus Simon Biong. Both fighters with a relatively new record. Luke Traynor starting off 5-0. Simon Biong's 7-2. So I guess they need a little bit more fights in there. They need to be seen more on a professional stance. So they might be starting off their professional career here.
Yeah, I agree. I think these are 2 guys who I'm not familiar with personally. I think. Wait, you saying this is the first professional fight or just first time on like a major promotion?
Might be their first time on a major promotion. Give me one moment.
Okay. I mean,
yeah. Luke Traynor did the Bellator Euro series.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Simon Biong, he's had 1 fight in Bellator before.
Okay, so all right. So they're still relatively new to Bellator. Simon does have a fight in Bellator, but still, yeah.
They each have 1 fight in Bellator right now.
Okay, makes sense. All right, well, yeah, not too familiar, so this is a chance for guys, for one of them, to break out and make a name for himself and a date in a big card in London, England. on a Bellator event on Showtime, which starts at 4 p.m. Eastern Time Zone because they are in London, in the United States, and the prelims start 12:30 on YouTube for
Free. It's for free. You can watch it for free on YouTube. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Just go to Bellator, go to their homepage. They'll have the video up for you to watch it for free. You can enjoy some free MMA fighting on YouTube. Some good violence for free. Friday. Kick your Friday off right in the afternoon, 12:30. I'll be there. You be there.
Yep, and I guess we can move on to the UFC because the UFC does have an event Saturday, the next day. Saturday on ESPN Plus. It's gonna be UFC. It's gonna be UFC Vegas 54, the main event between Jan Blachowicz and Alex Rakic, two top 3 light heavyweights in the UFC light heavyweight division. Rakic number 3, Jan number 1. Jan's come off the title loss to Oliveira Teixeira, and back in October in Abu Dhabi, and Rakic has come off the victory over not Anthony Smith. Was it Thiago Santos, right? Anthony Rakic.
Rakic.
Alexander Rakic.
No, because Santos just lost to Ankalaev.
Yeah. Who was his last victory? Rakic.
Yes, Santos.
Oh, well, Santos. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Rakic is. So Rakic is coming in on a 2-fight winning streak. Before they lost to, I believe, not. I'm trying. Who he lose to Rakic?
Zedmir.
Oh, Volkan Oezdemir. Okay, yeah. So Rakic is coming on. Rakic has only lost 1 fight in UFC. He's won, I believe, 5 of his previous 6. And Jan Blachowicz, we know, he was the former lightweight champion. Beat Dominic Reyes, defended against Israel Adesanya, and then lost to Oliveira Teixeira back in October in Abu Dhabi. And so this is an important fight between 2 top 3 heavyweights. The winner of this fight could possibly fight for the world championship next. The winner of Yuri and Oliveira Teixeira. So it's a big fight for the main card. This is very important between 2 Eastern European fighters. And what are your thoughts on this fight, Dan?
This is gonna be a big fight. It's gonna be, oh man, Jan Blachowicz most definitely wants to kind of get back into the title contention because you only had the title but for so long, and then Glover comes in out of nowhere and he kind of he dominated that fight. So you got to give yourself a second chance, and best way to do it is coming off of a loss to the champ. You beating a guy like Alexander Rakic, and you securing your number 1 spot, and you're saying, I'm not fighting anyone else. My next fight is for the title, and he has a right to do that. Versus Rakic, man, you have a chance here to be number 1. This is going to be very interesting. This is going to be very, very interesting. A lot of striking for sure. It's going to be a lot of striking.
I agree.
I don't know who I would give this fight to, man, because I mean, this is a light heavyweight division, so both guys carry a lot of power. To me, Blachowicz has more power. I don't know, man. I really don't know. This doesn't go the distance, though. I can say that much. This fight doesn't go the distance. Someone's getting finished.
I think if it does not go the distance, it'll be Jan victory, more likely, to my opinion. Because one thing about Rakic, he's very good, but my criticism of Rakic has been some of his fights, he wins them, but it's not like, it's like it leaves you wanting more. Sometimes Rakic's fights, I'm just gonna be honest. He's a good fighter, but sometimes it's like I feel like you can do more. Sometimes they can be kind of uneventful. I'm just gonna be honest with you with Rakic. And I think it's not just the Santos fight, but also the Anthony Smith fight as well. And for him, he needs to have if he wins, he's probably fight for a title next. But to really secure that, he needs to have a big performance. Something where it's like he really does damage to Jan, where he finishes him or just does something to where people pay attention and go, oh damn, that's Rakic, wow. And I think he needs to do that to really like get people talking about him. And Even though if he wins, he gets a title fight anyway. But to really like solidify and get people want to see that, I think that's what he has to do. He has to do something to really like put do a lot of damage to Jan or at least or finish him at least to do that personally. That's just me, because for Rakic, it's like I just feel like he'd do more.
Okay.
I think Jan has the Polish hammer or Polish power. I forget which one it is. The legendary Polish power.
Yeah, he's throwing hammers around and he's got power. Let's give him both.
Yeah, and Jan, and especially that left hook, and that's something Rakic has to be careful of, not getting set up to where Jan can just throw that and really knock you out like he's done before. And yeah, I know last fight against Glover, Jan didn't have the greatest performance, but before that, Jan has really showcased his skills on his way to the championship and to the Israel Adesanya fight where he beat Israel. I mean, we saw he did Dominic Reyes and Corey Anderson and Luke Rocco, where he knocked them out, all three of those guys out badly. If the Jan Blachowicz that fought those guys shows up, I think Rakic is in a world of trouble. Even the one that fought Israel Adesanya, I think he's gonna have a tough time.
I don't know, because the one that fought Israel Adesanya was getting pieced up on the, striking wise, he couldn't handle Israel. If I remember, he kind of spent a lot of the time grappling Israel and just laying on top of him. In
the fourth and fifth round, yes. For the first 3 rounds, he was standing with him, and Israel was doing solid. That's doing well in those striking exchanges. Yeah, Jan did have his moments. But I get what you mean. I think the one that fought, the 3 guys I mentioned, Rocco, Anderson, and Reyes, that one.
Yeah, that guy, yeah. Okay, so then, but then again, Rakic is methodical. He can find a way.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, it's true. I mean, I do think it's a chance for Jan to get a submission, because Jan does have a decent amount of submission victories in his career. And a lot of that was early on in his career. He hasn't really done that in a while, but it's there. That's something that you can always pull out of his hat. It's a submission victory. I know he couldn't pull submissions against Glover, but Glover's top game is pretty damn good when he gets on top of fighters. I mean, people talk about it's trouble for them.
I was just surprised that Glover was able to. You know what? That we broke down that fight, but yeah. If the Jan that shows up that fought Glover Teixeira is there, then I'm not so sure that this fight is gonna go Jan's way, but we definitely shall see. Moving on from there, we could go into the co-main event. It's a light heavyweight division as well. Ryan Spann versus Ion Cutelaba. Both fighters, they were rising contenders in the division, but then a loss has kind of stumbled both of these guys. And so now they're here facing each other. What do you see in this fight here?
I'm very compelled to see who can, if Cutelaba can, dictate this fight, basically bully Ryan Spann, because that's how he tends to win. We can just bully his opponent, sense of pressure and the action, and we typically can't do that. Usually it's trouble for him, like the Ankalaev fights and also Glover Teixeira fight as well, where each early on he was doing well, but once Glover figured him out, Glover just destroyed him afterwards. If Cutelaba could do that, then Cutelaba should beat Ryan Spann. But if Cutelaba can pressure and bully Spann, I think this is a fight where Spann can win the fight.
And Spann is a knockout artist, man. He really is a knockout artist. So this is how much bullying do you think Ion Cutelaba can do when Spann Spann, man, he has that nickname Superman for a reason. Guy is built like it.
Yeah, he's got finishing power too. Yeah. Also, he's got submissions, though. I think that's another thing. I think if this fight goes to the ground, he could possibly submit Cutelaba. There we go. I don't know why I was drawing blanks his last name.
Nah, it's fine. But, I mean, Cutelaba has also been he's shown to have a propensity to have a really good ground game, especially against, what was this guy's name? He just had an impressive victory. Devin Clark. Yeah, I remember the fight against Devin Clark where he kind of just forced the issue to get it to the ground, and from there he was able to, you know, secure a lot of things on top.
Yes, you're right about that. That's a good point. And gotta give Kutalaba some credit because after the Magomed and Kalaev loss, we got finished battling in the first round. He drew a draw against Dustin Jacoby, who's a rising contender in this division. Someone definitely keep your eye out for, and beat Devin Clark. So he's turning around. But like I said, Brian Spann can easily can beat him. It can be a tough fight for Kutalaba, who's also nicknamed, I believe, the Hulk. So you got two guys whose nicknames are based on comic book characters. I find that very funny.
Superman versus the Hulk. I believe John Anik is gonna have fun with that. We can move on from that fight to the next fight on the main card in the bantamweight division. Luis Smolka versus Davy Grant. I don't know if this fight goes the distance here. It might. But both of these guys are gonna throw a lot. I think Davy Grant, he's gonna try and take it to the ground some more so than Luis Smolka. But I think both of these guys are gonna end up standing up a lot with each other and try and go for knockouts. What about you?
I think you're right. I think they're both gonna try to knock each other out possibly. I think it's gonna be a lot of stand-up fighting in this fight. Excuse me. And I think whoever's the better striker, more tactical striker, probably wins. Or he's got more power too. I also don't want to discount that. And Smolka used to be a 125, right? Yeah, 125. I think he was at one point. Because I remember I was surprised when I saw that he was fighting at one. Because I'm so used to 125. I was surprised he was a 130. I mean, we moved up to 135 recently, but that makes sense. I think he had weight issues. I'm mistaken. I could be wrong about that. But just felt more comfortable 135. Either way, he's definitely a guy who can always finish opponents. I mean, this guy has a lot. I believe 15 of his 17 victories are by finish, so he's definitely a finisher. Smolka. David Grant is, like I said, no pushover either. You mentioned he can finish guys as well.
That's going to be a very interesting fight, like you said. We can move on from that fight to another interesting fight on the main card. Caitlin Chukagian versus Amanda Ribas. Is this going to be in a strawweight division?
Flyweight division. Ribas is moving up.
Flyweight, okay. Ribas is moving up, okay. Caitlin Chukagian has been having a bit of a good streak going right now. She's what was the last victory? Yes, against Jennifer Maia. That was a very good fight. And then she also defeated Vivian Araujo. So she's had a 3-fight winning streak right now. Yes. After the loss to Jessica Andrade. Caitlin Chukagian is looking very, very good, man. Her striking's been very, very good.
Chukagian, she's a very good fighter. Like very solid, very good fighter. Maybe a little underrated, like in terms of like her ability. Like, you know, obviously, she's good. Like she tends to have good performances in her fights. I mean, after the Valentina loss, where she got dominated by Valentina, obviously, she came back and beat Antonia Shevchenko, which was Valentina's sister. Then she had an unfortunate Andrade loss, where she got hit with body shots from Andrade, which showing that powerful, like Andrade hitting your body, can definitely mess up most women. And since then, she's won 3 in a row. So she's won 4 of the last 5 fights, and I think she beat the girl, Amanda Ribas, who's coming off a victory over
Verna Jandiroba.
Jaroba, there we go. And does a very dominant performance. It'd be hard to deny her a nerd crack at Valentina. Or the winner of Valentina Tila Santos.
This is going to be a very interesting fight because this has a lot of ramifications behind it.
Also, if you're Amanda Ribas, she can cut the line basically. If she beats Caitlin Chukagian, if actually dominates her or even finish her, it may be hard for us to not give Amanda Ribas a potential crack at the winner of Talia Santos and Valentina. considering she won her last fights, and before that, she lost to Marina Rodriguez. She has won, I think 5 of her last 6 fights up to this point. So she'll be 6 out of 7. I mean, especially in the weight class where this division is kind of shallow, she does something against Katlyn Chookagian, and that's a dominant performance. I mean, it'd be hard to deny Amanda Nunes a title fight, like I said.
Yeah, plus it'll be fresh blood for Valentina Shevchenko. This is, like we said, there's a lot of ramifications behind this. Katlyn Chookagian is #1 in the division right now, sitting under Valentina Shevchenko. So we shall see. It's a lot of implications on this fight. Next fight on the main card, Frank Camacho versus Manuel Torres. It's in the lightweight division.
I'm not familiar with Manuel Torres. I'm not too familiar
Yeah, I'm
with
looking him up right now. I'm not familiar with him.
I've seen Camacho fight before.
Okay, Manuel Torres is coming off of the Contender Series, so it's going to be an introduction to us.
Oh, okay. I know Camacho most of his victories are by TKO and KO. He tends to finish guys when he wins by KO or TKO typically. So he's got like 17 of them. I just looked up now, but I knew he had like a lot of knockout victories. However, Camacho hasn't fought in 2 years. Almost 2 years. Last fight was June 2020, where he lost to Justin James in 41 seconds. So it's interesting to see if he has ring rust octagon, ring rust, or he goes out there and performs like a fighter who's been active against a guy who's making his UFC debut, and Manuel Torres. But Torres is 10-2 or 11-2? I think
Torres is 12-2.
12-2, excuse me. So Torres is definitely a guy come out of the Contender Series, a guy who's 12-2 record, a guy that I'm pretty sure Dana White and the UFC guys are high on. And so I think this could be a chance for Torres to make a name for himself against an experienced guy in Camacho, or Camacho to beat up a young fighter and remind people of his talent, considering he's fought in 2 years.
Oh yeah, most definitely. But nothing like an introduction to the UFC, like a KO threat in Frank Camacho, right?
Yeah.
We can move on from there to the fight that's gonna start off the main card. Jake Hadley versus Alan Nascimento.
Yep, Nascimento. Okay.
Nascimento. This is gonna be in the flyweight division. Nascimento,
Not aware of Nascimento.
They're saying his last loss was against Tahir Ulanbekov.
Oh, Tahir.
I know Tahir
Me
Ulanbekov, but yeah, I don't remember that fight.
I don't either.
Yeah. Split decision there, and that was his first fight in UFC, so he's kind of coming back to reintroduce himself.
I think let me find out. Jake Haley is his UFC debut. He fought a Contender Series, won by submission. He's 8-0, so the guy's never been undefeated. He's a prospect of England. I'm pretty sure probably one of the top prospects of England, being 8-0 flyweight.
Most definitely, and looking from a lot of these results he's had, he's a grappler. This guy is a grappler.
Yeah, a grappler. Yep. Guy's got submission threat, and a guy who I think if he's really want to get the fight to the ground in order to do his thing against Nascimento.
Yeah, but Nascimento's also a grappler.
Ah, okay. So it might be a striking match, though.
Yep, it's gonna be a striking fest.
We're striking the two's gonna win this fight.
Yep. Seems like that's gonna be the tail of it, but that seems like that's the main card right there. But please, ladies and gentlemen, look out for the preliminaries. There's some interesting fights on the preliminary. Verna Jandiroba is facing Angela Hill. That's in the strawweight division. That's in the preliminaries. Nick Maximov, he's back.
That's right, Nick Maximov.
Yep, he's facing Andre Petroski. So that's going to be a very interesting fight there. Michael Johnson, he's back on the UFC scene. He's facing Alan Patrick. and Vivian Araujo is facing Andrea Lee. This is going to be some very, very interesting fights here in the preliminaries.
I agree. I'm surprised that Andrea Lee and Araujo is on the prelims. I think it's a main card fight considering Angela Lee is ranked number 9, Araujo is ranked number 8 in the 125 division, and Angela Lee's come off 2 back-to-back victories, and Araujo is I'm trying to see did she win her last fight or not. I'm trying to see did she do. No, she lost to Kaylin Chukagian.
Yeah.
Before that, she had won 2 in a row against Montana Del Rosa and Roxanne Manferi. I'm kind of I don't know, I'm surprised that's a prelim fight. That's not a main card. Starting to form the rankings. Or even Angela Hill.
Yeah, if anything, there's a possibility you could have had Camacho and Torres be in the preliminaries, and you have 2 women's fight be in the main card. There's a possibility there, but I think of the 2 between the Chukagian Ribas and that Angela Hill, Yanjaroba, or even Araujo, Andrea Lee fight, I think when you're looking at it, Chukagian's number 1. That's the fight that takes precedence. But there was always a chance. But then again, I don't know. Maybe coming off this Rose and the Sparza fight, they're not chancing it. They're like, you know what, man, just yeah.
Yeah, but it's not. Yeah, but only one of them strawweight, and that's the Angela Hill one. And Angela Hill, I mean, tends to have pretty good fights. I mean, but to be fair to the Rose and Carl, but I mean, yeah, but 2 of them are 125ers. I'm just saying, compare those fights to, let's say, Camacho and Torres, or even Jake Haley, why am I forgetting his last name? Shoot.
Hadley.
Jake Hadley and the Jake Hadley fights. I would think the women's fight has more significance than the Jake Hadley fight or even the Camacho Torres fight. That's just me. I'm surprised that's a prelim fight, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% there.
Either way, good card. I mean, a really good card. Come back from a week after the pay-per-view with the main event, which could be the next title challenger for Glover Teixeira or Yuri Prochazka, who wins this fight or wins that fight. You know, the winner of this fight, Blachowicz and Rakic, will fight the winner of that title fight come up in June. Definitely important fight in that light heavyweight division. And then, of course, you got Chukagian and Amanda Ribas. The winner of that fight could possibly fight the winner of Valentina and Thiago Santos, which also coming in June.
So a lot of contendership fights here on this card. Most definitely tune in, ladies and gentlemen. Saturday, these fights are going down on ESPN Plus. Tune in to check it out. It's a UFC fight night. That's our coverage of all things MMA. There's also a boxing matchup that will take place. Jermell Charlo will fight Brian Carlos Castano for the world's super welterweight title. That's going to happen this Saturday as well. So please tune in and check that out.
Saturday, I assume on Showtime or?
That should be on Showtime.
Okay, on Showtime. All right, Showtime pay-per-view at 10 p.m. I assume on the 10 p.m. Eastern time zone and 10 p.m. Pacific.
Most definitely. But that's the end of the show right there. We have nothing else to break down. We hope that you guys enjoyed the MMA that happened between this the Friday and Saturday between Bellator and UFC. They're going to be right back at it on Friday and Saturday. So tune in, ladies and gentlemen, because it's a lot of implications going down. We have an interim championship to be decided with the Bellator. We have a lot of title contenders to happen within the UFC. Please tune in and check it out. Last words from me, man. Thank you guys so much for joining us on YouTube and joining us on all audio platforms, whether that be Spotify, whether that be a Spreaker, whether that be iHeartRadio, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Thank you guys so much. Austin, last words from you, man.
Thank you guys for listening to us on whether it be on YouTube or listening to us, watching us, or listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, all the podcast platforms we're on. We appreciate the love and support. And thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a great week this week, and look forward to next week's breaking down what happened this upcoming week with RAKIC and BLACHOWICZ and that card, and of course the Bellator card with MVP and Story fighting for the interim welterweight title. And hopefully it's a great week of MMA fights, and we appreciate the love and support as we get closer to 5,000 on our YouTube channel. Thank you all subscribers to this channel, and thank you everyone for watching and tuning in to us. We appreciate the love and support, and we look forward to talking to you guys next week. I'm Austin, this is Chef Dan. Have a good day, good night, or time watching us, and peace.
Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are